Hello world, how we doing today? Devonta Arrington over here from Veteran Home Realty, back with another video. So this video is going to be called Option to Purchase Real Property Agreement. What contract do I use? So this option agreement is entered in between parties, sellers and buyers below, and the consideration is subject to the following terms and conditions. Now I use this option to purchase on hundreds and hundreds of deals that I do because I can use it either for a lease purchase or I can use it for an all cash out deal or a finance deal. And I'll get into that right now. So, parties right here, you're going to fill out my name, Devonta Merricky, Veteran Home Realty, and or assigned as buyer, and then your name right here. Then we're going to fill out the property address. And then offer. Buyer has the option to buy property at set price. So let's say that I buy your house from you at $230,000. But let's say I find a buyer that can pay $240,000. So then my fee would be $10,000. So this I have the option to buy the property at that set price. Now, if you were to sell your house $230,000 and you were to sell with the agent at 6%, well, then you're looking at paying out the commission of $13,800. Take that, you minus, your price at $230,000. So now you're looking at $216,200, and then you factor in closing costs and everything, and we'll make another video for that. But you'll see how I have it structured. You're not losing a penny. I'm not taking any commission out. So then we have the period. That's just the number of days that you give me. That's just the number of days that you give me for to find an end buyer. Usually we do like 30 to 60 days. With this, seller understands that buyer's intention is to find an end buyer and assign this option agreement to that end buyer for a fee. So I'm essentially getting it under contract, getting an agreement with you, and I'm utilizing buyers in my own personal network. Buyers that I've built up, whether they're referrals or whether they're people that log into my website and they say they want a specific property, or it's buyers that are under agents. And how I have that structured is when I use a buyer that's under an agent, that whatever I'm paying out is strictly out of my own pocket. I'm not taking any money or siphoning any money from your profit or any closing costs or anything of that matter. So, seller understands that the buyer is acting as a principal in this transaction and is not working as a licensed real estate broker representing anyone in this transaction. So, I am not a licensed agent working under a licensed broker. We don't stand to make any commissions here at Veteran Home Realty. The only money that we do make is on top of the money that we already agreed to pay you. So, there is no commissions that I'm paying a real estate broker to get this done. Upon buyer's decision to exercise the option, both parties agree to move forward the necessary standard purchase and sales agreement. Seller may cancel this agreement at any time if they find their own buyer with an executed contract before the option is exercised. So what do these two statements mean? So pretty much, that this right here is just to pretty much get the ball rolling. That's what the option is. I go ahead and get this under agreement with you, and I send it with the attorney. So the attorney has the contract in escrow, and now he's got all the information. He's got the parties involved. He's got the property address. He's got the offer to buy the property at. He's got the period, and he's got the date. So this is pretty much just to get the ball rolling at the attorney's office, so they know what we're dealing with, and we know he knows like, okay, so if the Veteran Home Realty does find a buyer, we have all the information to go ahead and get a standard purchase and sales agreement, which would be the FAR bar if you're here in Florida, or the WB11 back in Wisconsin. And the sweet thing about this is that the seller may cancel this agreement at any time if they find their own buyer with an executed contract before the option is exercised. So, and then what happens when you list your house with an agent, realtor, or broker is that you're tied up. You're tied up with that agent, realtor, broker, and you're pretty much counting on them to sell your house for you. And if they don't sell your house for you, and let's say they don't work as hard to sell your house, you could sign for a 6-month agreement, and they didn't really do so much to market your property. They didn't really get out there and hustle to sell it. So you're tied up, and the listing ends up, and the listing ends, and you're like, well, dang, I could have put this on, all the same websites that they do for sale by owner, FSBO, Zillow, Craigslist. I could have put it on all the websites they've done, and I could have possibly had a chance to find a buyer for all the work they did. Put it on for sale by owner.com, and I have it on the MLS, and I have a sign in my yard. So it's just like, dang, what do I need a realtor for? They just kind of held me back in a sense. So working with us, you're not being tied up. If you go ahead and find a buyer before we find you one, go ahead and sell. More power to you. Good luck. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And if you did, I would just get a Barney Band-Aid with a lollipop. I think I'll be all right then. Like I said, if you can go ahead and find your own buyer, go ahead and do it. And we're not tying you up or anything. The only time that there would ever be anything being tied up or anything exclusive is when we do find our buyer, and the buyer is either looking to cash out or he's looking for financing. And at that point, we would do the necessary steps to make sure that we get a standard purchase and sales agreement, and we're looking forward to closing. So seller agrees to allow buyer to put sign in front yard advertising the property for sale. So I typically do that with my lease purchases, my rent-to-own land contracts, because doing the yard doing the sign in the front yard is very, very powerful for attracting the buyers. You can get multiple buyers a day that are interested and qualified, because usually, depending on your neighborhood, if you're in a certain type of neighborhood, you're gonna attract a certain type of buyer. So the sign in the front yard is real key for that. If we're selling it retail, I'm pretty sure that you already have a sign out in your front yard, probably a for sale by owner sign. And at that situation, like I said, I'm not trying to directly compete with you. I have my own ways of marketing to bring buyers. So at that point, I'm not going to ask you to take down your sign and put my sign on the front yard, because if you're able to sell your house yourself, like I said, I want you to do it. So none of what I'm doing is going to directly compete with you. If you don't have a sign in your front yard, yeah, okay, then I can go ahead and put a Veteran Home Realty sign in your front yard, and we can do it like that. But if you already do, I'm not going to require that you change that up. Okay, so if buyer does not acquire an end buyer to assign this deal within X amount of days of acceptance of this option agreement, this agreement becomes null and void. So pretty much we agree on a certain amount of days of acceptance of this option agreement. If it doesn't close for whatever reason, this agreement is null and void. There's no harm, no folly, no risk. There is no recourse for me not finding a buyer at the end of the term if I don't find a buyer. And the only time I wouldn't find a buyer is if, for whatever reason, I'm dealing with a really overpriced home, and just a lot of buyers don't want to have to come out of pocket from what the bank will loan them and what they need to come out of cash for. So that is one of the reasons why I won't close on a deal. I do believe, and in my experience, that if a house is priced correctly and the terms are right, everything is all the rules are fine. I believe that every house will sell. I believe that there is a buyer for every house, and my experiences have proven that true. So all parties agree that property is sold in as in condition unless noted otherwise. The only time I really go ahead and I'll get a title search or anything if I'm doing lease purchases. If it's retail deals, and I'm using another buyer, I'm not purchasing it for my own inventory out of pocket. I don't require any appraisals or any inspections. That's for my buyer to go ahead and do his due diligence. So as far as I'm concerned, unless we're doing a lease purchase or doing a subject to, where I'm taking over your property, then as far as I'm concerned, we're doing it as is. And then seller added comments, go ahead and fill that out to whatever your heart's desire. If you feel the need to add anything important, go ahead and add it. And then this is where my name would go, buyer, and then date, obviously. Sign both lines, and then seller, and then date. If I've already contacted you via phone, you have my phone number. You probably already gave my email. If we need any instantaneous documents, I'll definitely give you a fax number that you can go ahead and send this to. So that is the option of purchase explained, relatively short and sweet. I find buyers, whether they're cash out, financed, or lease purchases, and depending on how we're structuring the deal of your house, we'll be doing either one of those buyers. So that is relatively how it works. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. This is Devonta Arrington at Veteran Home Realty. Thank you and have a great day.